Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Venting Room. Uncut, unfiltered, unapologetic. I'm your host, the Venting Room Vixen, and this is a space created for honesty, release, and real conversation. If you found your way here, it's not by accident. This room exists for the thoughts you've been holding in, the emotions you didn't feel safe to express, and the truths you've been carrying quietly. And before we go any further, Happy New Year, everybody! Welcome to 2026. This is not a year of pressure, nor a year of forcing yourself to stay small so everyone else can stay comfortable. This year, I want you to ask yourself, what are you no longer willing to carry? Before we continue, I'd like to share that the Venting Room is a space for expression, reflection, and real conversation. Nothing shared here is intended to replace professional advice of any kind, including legal, medical, mental health, or financial guidance. All opinions expressed, whether mine or yours, are personal and do not represent facts, diagnosis, or instructions. By choosing to stay in this space, you acknowledge and are aware that you are responsible for your own interpretations, emotional responses, and actions. This is a safe space to vent, not to fix, diagnose, or judge. Let's dive in. Tonight isn't about being polished. It isn't about having the perfect words. It's about telling the truth. The kind you usually swallow because you don't want to deal with the fallout. The Venting Room exists because unexpressed emotion doesn't just disappear. It settles, hardens. It turns into resentment, exhaustion, and that quiet feeling of, I'm not okay, but I don't even know how to say it anymore. That's right. For a lot of people, the new year isn't about adding more. It's really about releasing what's been draining you. So tonight, we're going to name it. Own it. Don't stay stuck in it. It's time to finally stop carrying it. Don't let it fester any longer. What are we releasing? Let's talk about it. How about conversations that go nowhere? You know, the type that you bring something up, you're calm, you're clear, you're even careful with your words. So you feel like walking on eggshells with a person. And somehow the conversation still ends up in the same place where you started. You're going nowhere fast. You're left with more questions than answers. More confusion than clarity. And you walk away thinking, did I say it wrong? Because he or she is just staring at me with a blank look on their face. But here's the truth. If you notice, some conversations don't go anywhere because the other person isn't really confused. They're just being avoidant. They're avoiding. They're avoiding responsibility. They're avoiding accountability. And they're avoiding the discomfort of having to change. Those are the facts. And when you keep returning to the same conversation with the same person, you're not communicating. You're negotiating your dignity. Well, in 2026, everybody, one thing we're letting go of is repeating ourselves to people committed to misunderstanding us. And of course, there's the one-sided relationships, which we're all very familiar with. Let's talk about it. Because really, one-sided relationships, they don't always look abusive. Sometimes they look like you being the strong one, the reliable one, the one you could count on, the one who checks in, the one who remembers birthdays, follows up, holds space, and keeps the connection alive. Does that sound familiar to you? Now there's the other side. Someone who benefits from your presence but doesn't protect it. One-sided relationships teach you to accept crumbs and actually call it love. They train you to overfunction, to carry emotional weight that was never yours to carry alone. And here's the biggest sign. Are you ready? When you stop initiating, the relationship goes silent. In 2026, we are letting go of connections that only exist when we do all the work. Over-explaining your feelings is another hot topic. Over-explaining is what happens when you don't feel safe being heard the first time. So what do? You say it, but it's dismissed. So you say it again, but nicer this time. Then again with examples, just in case they didn't understand you the first 2 times. Then again, showing them proof. This is over-explaining, everybody. Over-explaining turns your feelings into a courtroom. And you become the lawyer, the witness, and the person on trial. It's infuriating. Not to mention exhausting and draining. But feelings aren't something you're supposed to win an argument about. If someone cares, they don't need a thesis. Okay? They don't need a PhD. They just need to be present and listening. In 2026, guess what? We're letting go of performing our pain just to be taken seriously. And of course, there's the guilt for choosing yourself that comes along. Let's call this what it is: conditioning. Now, a lot of us were taught that choosing ourselves is selfish. That rest is laziness, because let's face it, in today's world, we have a lot on our plates. And we are multitasking 7 days a week. Sometimes there's not even enough hours in the day for the things that we have to accomplish. But we were taught saying no is rude. And we have a family. We have jobs to maintain. Families to take care of. So we never think of, oh no, I'm taking some me time. So when you finally put yourself first, guilt shows up. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something new. And let's face it, they're not used to you having me time, so that catches them off guard. Guilt is often a sign that you broke a pattern where you were valued most, when you were useful, accommodating, and quiet. Well, guess what? We're also letting go of guilt that was assigned to us by people who benefited from our lack of boundaries. Then there's silence, used to keep the peace. Now, I know you're all familiar with what we've discussed right up to this point. But let's think about it. How many of you actually stay quiet, stay silent to keep the peace with your partner? Silence can look like peace, but often it feels like self-erasure. You don't speak up because you don't want an argument. You don't want to bring it up again. You don't want to keep rehashing the past, rehashing the issue, what happened, because you don't want tension. You don't say how you really feel because you don't want to be labeled too much or dramatic. But the cost of silence is always paid somewhere else. It shows up in your body, your sleep, or I should say lack of sleep, your mood, and the way you start to disconnect from yourself. Peace that requires you to abandon yourself, it's not peace. It's compliance. Well, we're letting go of that. We're letting go of silence that protects everyone else while we slowly disappear and forget about ourselves. Here's the simple truth. Boundaries. That's what 2026 sounds like. Because letting go is only one side of it. The other side is what you're choosing instead. Boundaries are not punishment. Some people think that boundaries are showing that you're trying to be different, or all of a sudden you're changing and you're doing this to punish them. It's not. Boundaries are policies that you put in place for access. They are the way you protect yourself, your time, your energy, your heart, and your nervous system. That stops now. I'm no longer available for emotional inconsistency. I want you to repeat that to yourself. I'm no longer available for emotional inconsistency. Emotional inconsistency looks like hot and cold behavior. Like one day they're showering you with love and kisses and flowers. They're so affectionate. And then the next day, there's distance, silence, crickets on the other side. You don't even hear from them. Your texts go unread. You don't get a text, a call, nothing. They're promises with no follow through. Energy that only shows up when it benefits them. Your boundary can sound like, I need consistency. If you can't offer that, I'm stepping back. Or how about, I'm not doing the emotional roller coaster anymore. This lets them know that you're taking back your power. I'll say that again. By you affirming and setting your boundaries is letting them know you're not playing around anymore and you're taking back your power. You don't chase clarity. You are responding to it. If you have to chase clarity, it usually means the answer is being delayed on purpose, because clarity creates responsibility. Your boundary can sound like, when you're ready to be clear, you know where to find me. I'm not guessing my place in your life. Those days are over. Access to me requires honesty. Honesty is not perfection. It's transparency. It's owning your truth instead of hiding behind half-truths and selective information, such as, I'm available for truth, not stories. If I can't trust what I'm being told, I can't build anything with you. This shows them that you are no longer extending yourself. Overextending is how burnout becomes your personality. It looks like saying yes when you mean no. It's like being everyone's support system while neglecting your own needs. And you've done that long enough. Let's face it. Your boundary can sound like this. Oh, sorry. I can't do that. Or maybe, that doesn't work for me. Or maybe you can try this. I'm not available right now. Those are all fine boundaries that you can set without hurting somebody else's feelings. What you're saying is, I don't stay where I feel minimized. Minimized means your needs are treated like inconveniences. Your emotions are treated like drama. Your boundaries are disrespected. If your boundaries are going to be disrespected, you can share this with them. I won't stay in spaces where my needs are mocked, dismissed, or ignored. If I have to shrink to be tolerated, I don't belong here. Let them think about that for a minute. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening now, I want you to ask yourself these questions and take a hard look. What are you letting go of from 2025? Which boundary hit you the hardest tonight? What is one sentence you're going to practice saying in 2026? This is where your power lies. Before we close, I want to tell you what's coming next, what hot topics we're going to discuss in episode 2, because it's going to build directly on tonight's topic. The topic for episode 2 is what I'm no longer explaining. We're going to take a deeper dive into why you feel the need to over-justify your emotions, what it means when someone keeps you in confusion, the difference between patience and self-abandonment, and how to stop negotiating your worth in conversations that should be simple. If tonight resonated with you, keep that in mind for episode 2 and stay tuned. And as we close tonight, take a breath. If nothing else, let this session remind you your feelings are valid, your boundaries are necessary, and choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's self-respect. This is the venting room, where honesty is allowed, release is respected, and your voice matters. If you enjoyed our venting session, please click on like and subscribe to this channel. I'm the Venting Room Vixen. Thank you for tuning in and being here tonight. Thank you for listening, and welcome to 2026. Good night.